Hi, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are making tempura vegetables. Because there is no better way to eat a vegetable than to deep fry it, let's be real. Think back now to your favourite meal that you have ever had. Because mine is what inspired this video and recipe today. Japan's not really well known for being a celiac friendly country. In Tokyo and Kyoto there are plenty of places you can eat, but outside of the main cities, knowledge of celiac disease and gluten and wheat intolerances is pretty slim. And that's just because in Japan very little people actually suffer from celiac disease or gluten or wheat intolerances. We travelled to a place called Kawaguchiko, which is quite close to Mount Fuji. And I was thinking to myself, there's no way I'm going to be able to eat anything here. But I found this sushi restaurant that said it had plenty of gluten-free options. They even offered gluten-free soy sauce, which is unheard of in Japan. And I ordered the tempura vegetable sushi platter. And it was the most delicious meal I've had to this day. That's what inspired this recipe today. But if you knew you had tempura before, fantastic. Lucky you! Tempura is a very light, very thin, crunchy batter that is from Japan. It's usually made with wheat flour or rice flour, and today we're just going to be using gluten-free flour. The great thing about this recipe is it is completely customizable to what you fry. You have to be mindful, of course, of different cooking times for different vegetables, but really the choice is yours. And I'll be plating up my tempura vegetables with a little bit of sushi rice and a miso dipping sauce. It's lunchtime now and I'm actually pretty hungry, so let's hop right into it. For the tempura batter you will need 3/4 cup of gluten-free flour, 1 egg and half a cup of water. For my vegetables today I've decided to go with potato, kumara or sweet potato, red pepper, padron peppers, some mushrooms, bell pepper and some broccoli. And I'll be serving my tempura vegetables today with a dipping sauce, and for that you'll need 3 tablespoons of white miso paste, 1 teaspoon of tamari or gluten-free soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, 2 teaspoons of mirin, and half a tablespoon of white sugar. I'm also going to be serving it with some sushi rice, and we mustn't forget the oil we need to cook the vegetables in. If I'm using sushi rice in a meal, the first thing I'm always going to do is rinse it and soak it. A lot of people find using sushi rice a little bit difficult, and that's just because you don't cook it like normal rice. So if you want to get your sushi rice absolutely perfect, I always measure to the gram how much sushi rice I'm using and then use the correct ratio of water for that. So 250 grams of sushi rice equals 330 mils of water. Let's do that. I might do about half that amount because I don't need that much rice today. So I'm going to be using about 125 grams of sushi rice today, so that equals, quick maths, 165 mils of water. Okay, I don't really know how sushi rice works, but if you don't rinse it well and soak it properly before you use it, it's just not gonna work. So I'm gonna rinse this now. So while our rice is soaking, our next job is to chop up all the vegetables. So if you're going to be using starchy vegetables like kumara and potato, what you want to do is chop them up into thin rounds and then soak them in water until you're ready to cook them. So this helps remove the excess starch, and it means that they'll cook quicker when you're finally ready to fry them. Through the power of YouTube magic, I've already done this. I've had these soaking for a little bit, so they should be ready to go. So now I'm going to move on to chopping up the rest. I'm going to be chopping the red pepper into like thin strips and the broccoli into just smaller pieces. Mushrooms you can do whole if they're small, or you can chop them in half. And I'm just going to be doing chunks of red onion. Once your vegetables are chopped, we can go ahead and make the tempura batter. It's very easy. All you need is a bowl and a whisk and we're ready to go. Where's my whisk though? Found it. All we're going to do is add our 3/4 cup of gluten-free flour to the bowl, crack in the egg, and whisk it together. And now we can add in the half cup of water. And you can see that it's quite a thin batter, and that's perfect. Just turn the light on, it's getting a bit dark, even though it's only 1 p.m. I'm gonna start cooking my sushi rice. To cook sushi rice, all you need to do is bring the pot to a boil. As soon as it hits a boil, you wanna turn it right down to low, pop on a lid, and let it steam for 10 minutes. After that, you wanna remove the sushi rice from the heat for another 10 minutes with the lid still on, and then you're good to go. I would be cooking all of this at the same time, but my induction doesn't work. Only one stove top likes to work at a time, which is fun. It's fun. While we're waiting for the rice, we can go ahead and make the white miso dipping sauce. So all you need to do is get all those ingredients that I had at the start, put it in one bowl, and mix it. Here we've got the miso paste, and all you want to do is add the sesame oil, tamari or gluten-free soy sauce, mirin, the white sugar, and about 2 tablespoons of water. All you need to do now is mix it all together until it's all combined. And there's your dipping sauce. If you're feeling a little bit fancy, go ahead and pop a few sesame seeds on top. It's time to move our lovely rice off the stove, which means I can finally start cooking the tempura vegetables. As I say, if your stove actually works, then you do this at whatever times you like, but this is what I'm working with, okay? So I'm going to be using a large pan, frying pan. People call pans things different in this country. This thing. First I'm going to go drain my potatoes and my kumara. Right. First things first, let's heat up some oil. And you want a good 2 to 3 centimeters of oil in there. And don't forget, you can reuse this oil afterwards. I just strain it and use it again in the rest of the week. All right. It's also good to remember that your vegetables will cook at different times. So I tend to cook groups of vegetables at a time. So I'll do all of the broccolis at once, the potatoes and the kumaras at once, onions, blah, 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 blah. I've also prepared a plate with a paper towel on it that I will put the tempura vegetables on afterwards to soak up the excess oil. And not to forget, a tiny little bit of salt. I low-key hate mushrooms, so I'm gonna test a mushroom. I did find that my induction wasn't hot enough, so I have turned it up to 8. So it's pretty high at the moment. Ooh, the thing I go by is they should have about a minute on each side. And if they've turned a nice golden colour, then you know you're at the right temperature. Extremely proud of how specifically the peppers came out. So here's your crunch shell. Here's a red onion with a bit of dipping sauce. Best way to eat vegetables. Listen to this. This is one of my bell peppers. Oh, it's hot. Right, I've got a few more to cook, so I'm just gonna cook those up and eat them for lunch, and I'll be right back. And And that brings us to the end of my tempura vegetable recipe today. If you've got any leftover mixture, you can cover that, pop that in the fridge for a couple of days, and you can use it whenever. And if you like this video and wanted to see more, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, that'd be sick. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. See you soon.